think I'm at a point in my artistry where I'm ready to branch out. So when I think about art, I like to think about a tree. We start off just with this seed, and we come into the world with our gift, and then it grows, and then it starts to branch out and produce fruit. And so I've been extremely careful with the fruit that I want to put into the world.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of The Artist's Journey. Today we have the pleasure of speaking to Mecca Foxx and hearing her lovely story. I met Mecca at a open mic called Wanafa, and I got to hear her do some amazing poetry. And I also had the opportunity to watch her perform at Urban Grind, which is, I believe, the longest open mic or the longest one in Atlanta, which is amazing. She did a lovely performance.
Thank you.
And we're going to dive into her story today. But we like to start off every episode with reading our Yogi Tea message.
Okay.
So what is your what does your Yogi Tea say?
Ooh, let's see. All good things. I got the positive energy tea, so let's see. Uncage your heart, free your heart, let it be wild.
I like that.
I do too. This is very relevant.
Yes. How?
Yes.
How so?
Well, I think I'm at a point in my artistry where I'm ready to branch out. So when I think about art, I like to think about a tree. We start off just with this seed, and we come into the world with our gift, and then it grows, and then it starts to branch out and produce fruit. And so I've been extremely careful with the fruit that I want to put into the world. And I know that right now it's time. So I'm really just getting started, even though I've been doing it for a long time. So this is really relevant. Uncage your heart, free your heart, let it be wild. So yeah, I would say I kind of kept my heart locked down for a little while to make sure that it came out the way, my most authentic self.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I'm ready to let it wild.
Yes, let it wow, let it go free. Thank you for sharing that. I wasn't even like thinking of it like that. Like we all come into this world like with a little seed, and then it blooms and it blossoms throughout time. And then like when you say that, it makes me think of like a plant. So like I'm thinking like nurturing it, watering your gift and nurturing yourself and pouring into yourself and like the best ways that you can. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. So when did you start like your journey? When did you start writing? When did you start like the whole process of becoming who you are today as a poet and a performer?
As far as writing, I have always written some form of something as far back as I can remember writing, short stories. I started writing music when I was a young girl. Poetry, though, I started writing poetry in middle school. I had a teacher, Mr. Shellhorn. Shout out to Mr. Shellhorn. He used to have open mic Fridays, and as long as we could get our work done in middle school, then we can have a time where we get to express ourselves.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, it was dope. So that's really where I started to write poetry and start expressing the things that I was going through. I felt like it was a healthy outlet for me to express myself. And then as time went on into my high school years, I got introduced to spoken word poetry through my godmother, who was actually my teacher. And from there, I learned about performances and I started slamming. And so as far as writing, I've been writing my whole life, but poetry and getting into spoken word, that started when I was about 15, maybe 14. Yeah, 14, 15 is when I really started getting into it. So.
Wow. That's so cool. And you kept it with you and you've been able to nurture it and grow with it since then. And I feel like during that time is such a sweet age, like 15, 16 years old, because you're coming into yourself, you're becoming, you're blooming and you're like exploring, and then your mind is still open like a child, and you still take everything in like a sponge, but like, it's just like you're stepping into a whole new world of things. So That's cool. And shout out to your teacher for having Slam Fridays.
Yeah, that's so dope.
Yeah, because like I feel like that's so important when adults take the time out like that with the students, like that's outside of academics, rather than telling them to like, you know, do something else. I feel like when a teacher and educator takes time out for their students, they can change their life, you know, and open a doorway to something, to endless possibilities.
Absolutely. What was really cool about it is that he didn't limit it to just poetry. Like you can go up and do a monologue or read something or dance or freestyle, you know, so it was just open. It was open for any artistic expression. So I'm extremely grateful for that time and that leading me into where I'm at right now as an artist. So.
Yeah, and it seems like he probably, you know, gone to events like this too, and he was introducing it to you all. So yeah, so when artists are educators, you know, I feel like we're the coolest teachers. So
shout out to the teachers.
Yes. So Mecca, when I hear your poetry, I think of alchemical process, like a metamorphosing into like something amazing, and taking something that's dark and heavy and transmuting it into light. That's what I feel like you're expressing in your poetry. So can you tell us about your, like, how it has, because you said it has helped you too, it helps you process. So how does it help you process your emotions and stuff like that? Yeah,
definitely. And thank you for that. I would definitely say that my poetry and my art is alchemy. I have had a very, very traumatic childhood. I had almost a traumatic even womanhood. And so being able to turn those dark moments, like you said, into light is extremely important to me. I felt that being able to express myself and say what's on my heart is the most way that I can be my authentic self. And so I think that my poetry is always going to be the type of art that tries to uplift people. You know, I know that all of us are going through something, you know, but if we can find the light and the purpose, then it just makes that burden less heavy. And so even when I write about things that are kind of heavy, I try to leave it with hope at the end, because I want people to know that, yes, you can go within yourself and face those dark parts about yourself, but if you go just a little bit further, it's really just going to lead you to the light. And so I would hope that every piece that I write, even if it is heavy, it brings people back to themselves, and that's what I want to do. And it makes me think about there's this quote, and the quote, hold on, let me think. The quote was dang it, I'm trying to remember. Let me just skip that part. I'm trying to remember what the quote was. I'll come back to the quote. But basically, the purpose of my writing is to awaken people, is to help people to become conscious, to become self-aware, to know that they're worthy, to know that whatever they've gone through does not depict who they are, but they get to choose their reality. And so that's what I did. You know, I alchemized what I've been through, and I chose a different path. And so I'm proud of myself, and I hope that I'm able to relay that on stage.
No, you absolutely are. And that's well said, what you expressed just now. So you mentioned authenticity a few times. So what does it mean to be authentic to you? What does that mean?
Authenticity. Well, first of all, I come from Florida. I'm from Duval. I'm from Jacksonville.
Shout out to Florida.
Yes. And in my city, everybody, I feel like, is very authentic. Like we just say what we want to say. We get stuff off our chest. A lot of people don't have filters where I'm from. And so to me, it's just being yourself, you know, being who God made you as, not putting up any barriers based on trying to get accolades or any type of like, you don't, I would say authenticity is not really worrying about what other people think about you, but just being authentically yourself, however that comes out. I'm an artist. I write rock music. I write hip hop. I write R&B. I'm also a mother. So there's a lot of different versions of myself, but I don't want to filter it through social media. I don't want to filter it through what other people think about me. I just want to be true to who I am. And so I know that my city raised me to be like that. And I'm always looking for authenticity in other people. I can always spot it out when it's not true.
Yeah.
I give people grace if they're not being their true self, but I always want to make sure that I'm showing up in my authentic way to let other people know that it's okay to just be who you are.
To do that intentionally and then showcase it in art, I would say that's superpower.
Yeah.
I think that's something that you're able to tap into that a lot of people have not yet learned how to or know that it is possible. And then also being able to identify it from when someone else is not moving authentically is also a superpower, which I feel like could probably be intimidating to some people, because I feel like when people who have not tapped into their authentic self, let alone notice or acknowledge when someone else is being authentic or feel comfortable around someone who's authentic, that's also something that's difficult. So would you feel that, like, I don't know, why when you're around people who are inauthentic, do you feel like that can probably be like intimidate, like maybe you intimidate some people like that, or no?
I don't know if I would say I intimidate people. I think that people naturally see the light in me and just naturally see that. I kind of call that out of people. First of all, my name is Mecca.
Right.
And Mecca means a place where one comes to hear truth. So I'm designed in that way where I'm going to, I think, naturally just bring out the authentic version of people. I don't know if people feel intimidated by that. I do always want them to know that it's okay and that it is a journey. It's a journey to get to know yourself, to really know how you want to show up in the world. But I think if people are not being authentic, then they can also kind of stray away from me, because I definitely give that energy of, I want you to show up as who you are and the best version of yourself. So
yeah, absolutely. That's beautiful. So how would you describe your poetry to someone who has not heard it?
That's a good question. I would say that my poetry is powerful. It is very strong. It is hopeful. It's honest. I definitely have an honest writing style. I'm true to what I believe, and I'm standing on it. I'm standing on the light, and my poetry is just I feel like people know where I'm coming from because they can relate to my story in some way. I've been through almost everything that maybe one person has experienced this one thing or maybe two things, but I've almost experienced a lot of things. And so I think that initially people will feel connected to my poetry because they understand where I'm coming from. But I think in the end, I just definitely want to leave people with hope.
Absolutely.
Hope.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the best way to experience your poetry is live and in person. So if you're in the Atlanta area and you want to see Mecca, she's going to be performing.
Yeah.
One thing I did notice is that your work, you don't have that on social media. So are you currently writing more so like for yourself and then like releasing later, or like what are your goals with that?
That's a good question. I think initially when I started writing, it was to heal myself. I find my writing process to be very, very sacred. And I always want to make sure that I'm writing for myself first before the audience. Once again, that authenticity is extremely important to me.
Yeah.
Whatever I'm saying on stage, I want to make sure that I'm being that person off stage, which is it can be tough in our community. We are artists, so we feel everything. We go through so much to get the words out, to get the music out, to get the painting out. We have to experience it ourselves. And so if I'm up there speaking about healing and I'm speaking about, becoming a better person and evolving, I want to make sure that I'm showing up on stage as that person. And so for a while, to be honest, poetry, music, my art kind of took a back seat, and I started to fall in love with the healing journey and getting to know myself. And so, like I said, I'm just getting started, because now I'm ready to get out here and express myself online. But I wanted to be very firm in who I am, so that way I'm not kind of taken off my square by social media, because sometimes if someone leaves a comment, or that can make you even change the direction, of who you are, what you stand for. So I wanted to make sure that I am standing firm in what I'm saying, and that it is honest and it's true. And when I get off stage, that I'm being that person that I say I am when I'm on stage. That takes a lot of self work, takes a lot of shadow work. And I did a lot of years of doing that. So now I'm ready to express myself.
That's so great. Yeah. And this is the part of being an artist that I feel like it's not talked about enough, because we have to go through the healing process. We have to go through the filling our cup phase. We have to go through the part where we're figuring it out. Like, I can relate to what you're saying, because like calling myself Third Eye Evo, I'm like, wow, what does that mean exactly? I don't want to just call myself something and because words is the vibration, it's a frequency. And when you're on stage and when you're expressing yourself, you're impacting the audience. You're impacting what they're saying. And they're feeling that. You're sharing that frequency and in the space. So knowing who you are and being authentic is so important, especially in this industry too, because it's easy to get knocked off or compare yourself to others, or do, like you said, someone can make one comment and it can change the trajectory of where you were going or in the begin with, so it's like staying firm as to who Mecca is and what it is I'm doing, what it is I'm saying, and that's it. This is my story, my message. So why Mecca? What inspired you to name yourself Mecca, or was that your birth given name?
That is a really good question, Evo. So Mecca is actually my birth name. I came into the world with the name Mecca. My biological mother, was on drugs, is still on drugs. And so she gave me up for adoption when I was born. And I then had my name changed, and my name was Courtney. And then when I turned 18, I got all of my records, and I found out that my name was Mecca.
Wow.
Mecca Foxx. And that is my real birth name that my mother named me.
Wow.
So if you know me, I went through a bunch of different names. I've been Epic, the Epic of Mecca. I've had a bunch of different names, but Mecca Foxx is what stuck, because that is my real name.
And it fits you. It fits you too. Wow. And you're growing within your journey within that name. Your new identity, which is your true identity.
Yeah, that's so dope.
It's like full circle, you know, and then what you stand for, what you believe is like, wow. I have so much to say, because like that's your birth given name, and then you went through the journey to become her without knowing that was her, and then just rediscovering that, oh, this is you, and that this name means so much, plus who I have become through the journey. Now you can be her more intentionally, and like goddess power, like
it's so dope. It's so dope to see that to come to life, and for me to be designed in a certain way where the name just makes so much sense. It just made so much sense. Yeah,
that's so cool. Because that's one power that I love as being an artist, that we can choose our identity. That goes back to the authenticity, because you can choose your name, and then you can play around with that and be whatever persona that is, despite like who. If you were born as Ruby Jones, and your family knows you as Ruby Jones, you're like, no, I am Supernova, and I'm going to be Supernova, and this is how Supernova acts, that. So it's a journey, and then that person goes through a journey in a process as well.
Yeah, so definitely.
Yes. So what is your writing process like when you go through, like when you write a poem? Do you write during the daytime? Do you write at night? Do you drink tea? Do you like drink water, or you don't drink nothing? Or you just like, or are you writing poetry throughout the day in your head? Like, how does that work for you?
That's also a really good question. So I don't have like a process where I just sit down and write. Like some people just, okay, I'm going to write on Friday at 3 p.m. and I'm going to do this for 2 hours. Like I am inspired by something. A lot of times it's a feeling that I have. And then from there, I just start writing. And I can go some time without writing before I start to feel inspired. It might be something that's happening outside in the world that's inspiring me, or something that's happening personal in my life that is inspiring me. Believe it or not, a lot of times I do write my poetry and my music right before my menstrual. So that's just, as a woman, like that's when I feel most like, ooh, you know, I'm feeling everything around this time. And that's pretty much when I'm getting it out. You know, that's when my feelings are most heightened, and when I'm probably gonna go in the room by myself and really get into my on my iPad or whatever, or in my book, whatever. So that's pretty much my process. And what I do is something that my poetry coach, shout out to Cuban, he told me that my writing is very raw. So some people will sit down and write and then they'll edit their writing. But me, I pretty much just let it all out, and it just all comes out. And I always think it's beautiful. I might revise it a couple lines here and there, maybe later on. But for the most part, when a poem or a song is on my heart, it just comes out like it was already there and it was just waiting on me to catch up with it. Is how I feel.
That's cool.
Yeah,
you mentioned your menstrual cycle, because like us as women, we go through different phases throughout that time, like actually all the time, because we're like the moon, like we're literally moving like in different cycles, and we have different emotions during different times. You know, I think which kind of has a stereotype that like women are emotional, but like you know, if we're tapped into yourself, like you're saying, like you notice that a certain time of like during a certain time of a month, during a certain period, you're more like expressive in that time. And then you take advantage of that, you know. So I think that's amazing. And just I would take that as advice for myself and for others, to like taking note to when are you during your cycle, where are you right now, like how are your emotions, how are your thoughts, how are you moving. Maybe you know, during this time you need to take it easy, you know, maybe or this time, you know, this is a great time for you to go out and learn something, or you know, do something more active. So that's great. So have you written any new pieces lately, or
Yeah, I'm writing. I'm in a writing season right now.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of the poetry that I have been performing in Atlanta, like I said, I'm from Florida, but I've been living in Atlanta almost 2 years. A lot of that stuff is old. It's new to the people here in Atlanta, but it's old to my city, myself. So one thing I say, like living in Florida, I got family, I got my community, I learned resilience. You know, I have a loyalty to my city, but coming here to Atlanta, something that I really love is that a lot of the artists are unapologetically themselves.
Absolutely.
And that is so inspiring to me. So I'm writing new poetry from where I'm at right now and what that looks like after you go through that healing process. So I'm really excited to share some of my new work, and I'm extremely inspired by Atlanta, by the scene, by my king, you know. I'm extremely inspired by being around art in my home. And so I'm definitely writing new poetry, and I can't wait to share it with everybody.
New shit.
Yeah, right, exactly. New shit, exactly. New shit.
Yes. So that's so great. And I like how you perform. I like your performance because you have a strong, like, powerful, like, way of expressing, like, your poems are stories, you know. So, and it takes you on a journey. I'm thinking about this one poem, and I don't remember the title of it right now, but it's about rain, the raining, but you're kind of speaking of like bullets and stuff and the darkness of that. It's like, wow, that's so like the way you use your words and visually describe it, and then like has like a double meaning, and then like the way you tell the story and the way you express it is really powerful. So like I'm excited about that for your new work, because I know this is going to be just as great. So would you think about recording your poems and like kind of like an audio book, or like have you ever like thought of doing something like that?
Yeah, I have recorded in the past. As far as music, I'm also a musician. I write music, so I have a bunch of music that is unreleased. I do want to drop a poetry album called Mechanisms. So I am going to get back in the studio. I have to figure out who's out here in Atlanta. Obviously, we're in Atlanta, so I know I can find somebody. But I do want to get some stuff on wax. And
what's that? I don't even know what that is.
On wax?
What's wax?
Wax, you're just getting it on wax. Like,
oh!
You're getting it out there.
I'm thinking it's like a platform, like some type of new, right?
Like a record.
Oh, okay.
Getting it on wax. Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah, I definitely want to get my art, get my poetry, because I have a lot of music, like I said, but get my poetry on wax and put it out there for everybody to hear. So.
I was like, what subscription is
that? It's an earwax. Put this in your ear. Right.
That's cool. Okay, well, I'm excited. I'm excited for when you do that.
Thank you.
To see your journey and the unfoldment, of that. That's so great. So, do you have any? Because you said you did some slam poetry. So, so that's a whole world in itself.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Who are your inspirations as a poet, as a spoken word artist? Like. And like maybe the underground scene or not, like, someone famous or not famous.
As far as my inspiration, I'm definitely inspired by the people that I grew up with. So my slam team, I was on a youth poetry slam team called Shattered Thought. We slammed at Brave New Voices for HBO.
Ooh.
I slammed at Southern Fried and a bunch of other slams.
Wow.
So I'm always inspired. Sometimes I still link up with them. We'll get on the phone and I'll hear some poetry. I'm always inspired by them. As far as more famous poets, I love Sunny Patterson. She's probably one of my favorite poets. I just love her. And I, once again, just inspired by authenticity. Whenever I hear anybody, really, I don't know if I can. I mean, I love Sunny Patterson, but I don't know if I can say like specifics, because I could just hear anybody at the open mic, and if it's raw and it's dope, then I'm going to feel inspired by it. I don't really look at, some coming from slam, a lot of people are competitive, but I don't really see art as a competition. It's subjective. So to me, everybody's on the same playing field. So I might be inspired by somebody who this is their first time going up and spitting a poem, and I'm just inspired by their bravery. Or it could be somebody who's been doing it for a long time, and I'm just inspired by the fact that they're still going and they're still keeping that fire lit. We have OGs in the community, and I think that's dope too. But I'm just always just inspired by everybody. Bars. Bars. I like bars. I like metaphors. So just life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are so many great poets around, and you mentioned like new poets. I love new poets. I love the ones who like never was on stage, because they're always like, it's my first time, and be nice, and, or they're like have a disclaimer, and then they're like the best.
Right. Right. Or you come back 6 months later and they're like,
what?
I'm into this.
And then you have they grow, you get to watch them grow. And then like, so that's so cool.
Yeah.
What is something someone can leave with after they listen to your poetry?
So after someone hears my poetry, I would hope that they feel inspired to want to go on that self-discovery journey. I think that that's essentially what we are all here for, is to learn more about ourselves and to get back to ourselves. So I would hope that my poetry leaves people conscious is the best way. And I can think about a different quote, even though I couldn't remember the other one, but Stokely Carmichael, he said, the job of the conscious is to make the unconscious conscious. And so I love that quote because that's what I want to do with my poetry. I want to help the frequency of the planet. You know, there's enough negativity going on around us at all times. We can just pull up our phone and tune into that frequency. But I want people to feel a frequency while I'm on stage that may be familiar, where they're like, oh, I forgot about that frequency. Let me tap into that. Or they may have never felt it before. I want them to feel loved. I want them to feel just power, you know, and how worthy they are. And then when they feel that frequency, I will hope that it feels so good that they just want to tap into it again and again and again. I might not be there for them to do that, but I want them to remember my frequency and then go off and find out how that they can get on that same frequency for themselves and maintain that frequency. I feel like the more people do that, the more of us that get on that love frequency, you know, whatever you want to call it, 5D, whatever, the more of us that ascend, you know, the better our planet will be. So that's what I want people to remember about me as a person, and also about my work, is that, you know, I'm really just here to help raise the vibration of the planet,
and that's
period.
a beautiful message and mission and journey and aspiration of you, because I agree with the frequency and raising the vibration of frequency, because you can't sleep on art. Art is powerful. You know, art can change your mood like immediately, you know, and it's a revolution in itself, you know. It's a silent revolution. It seems it's like so quiet, so sweet. People are laughing, and that's the point. You know, people are having a great time and sharing, communing, and smiling, and thinking new thoughts, and having new feelings, and, you know, new ideas. That's the whole point too, like sparking a new thought in someone, sparking a new pathway, a neuron in your brain, you know. So like those are all important, you know. It's like attending events where it's positive poetry and spoken word and music, and that's important. I feel like, you know, that's how we can raise the vibration, raise the frequency of the planet. Like you said, like you look at your phone and you could tap into the frequency of negativity immediately. But if enough of us come together, enough artists share their work and connect with one another, I believe it will have a positive impact on our world as it is today.
I agree.
Definitely. We shape our future.
So like that.
What is your favorite piece that you wrote, and why? Or do you not have one?
I actually do have a favorite piece. The poem that is my favorite is called "It's All Good." I spit it at Queenum Come for Georgia Me. Shout out to Georgia Me. That poem is so special to me because I felt that it was a prophecy. A lot of the things that I wrote in the poem are now coming into fruition now. And I really couldn't see. It's like I wrote it and I knew where I was going subconsciously. But every time I spit it now, I get to really see how all of this is playing out exactly how I put it in the poem. And I wrote that poem years ago, like probably over 15 years ago. And I'm still seeing parts of that poem playing out right now. And I sent it to you. It was, I sent it to you. I did it at Queenum Come. And I just love it. It just reminds me so much of myself, my purpose, you know, why I'm here, the power of turning darkness into light. And just, it's very honest and it's very raw. So I think that that's my favorite piece. Now I'm writing some new poetry, so I might have some, you know, another favorite piece, but
I think
that's my favorite.
Creating another
one.
prophecy and seeing another unfoldment occur. That's one of my favorite things about being an artist too, is that like a lot of stuff, like especially if you're a writer, comes into, you understand it deeper as time goes on. Like you may not even know, while you're writing it maybe, but like it makes even more sense in the future.
Yeah,
that's the thing that's cool about it.
It's like a journal. Like if you go back and read old pages of your journal, and you're like, oh, that's how I used to think. That's what's so dope about poetry. Is for me, I feel like my poetry has always just been a timeline of events. Like it's just a timeline showing where I was at, where I'm going, where I've been. So being able to look back at old poetry, I guess it's almost always a prophecy when you're writing, because you're just getting better and better and better as you go, if that's what you choose. So yeah, it's like a journal. Now, some poetry I wrote back in the day, I ain't never gonna share that. Like, why did I write that? Like, well, ooh, that was terrible, or man, that's the way I was thinking back then.
Yeah.
But that's what's so cool about being an artist, man, because you get to really see your journey. You get to see it, tangibly, whether that be through music or painting or whatever, dance, So.
Yeah. Do you like to write like in free form? Do you sometimes write in like couplets or have like haikus, or do you like the freedom of spoken word and like free write and like make your own rhyme scheme and things like that? Like, what do you like when it comes to that part of writing?
I think for me, I used to do a lot more free write. Now I do kind of stanzas. So I might write something and then move it down here because this sounds better, But before I used to just go, and sometimes I write to the point where I really need to make myself stop because this is just going to keep going and going. But as far as my writing style, like my poetry, I'm a rhyme scheme. Like I have rhyme scheme. Some people have bars.
Yeah.
I don't really have bars per se, but rhyme scheme is my thing. I do like to take one thing, like you had mentioned before, and make it into a very long metaphor. So I think that's my thing. Like before, how you were talking about the rain and stuff and the hurricanes. Like so that one piece that I did, the hurricane is
dancing in the rain, dancing in the storm, dancing. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that's so cool. Yes. You have to hear that poem because I want to reference something from that poem. You have to have heard it to listen to it, because when you say like dancing in the storm, when I heard that, I was thinking of the goddess Oya.
That's who it was inspired by.
Oh, cool, because that's who I was thinking about. I was like the goddess of storms. And
that's
she who dances in the rain, who controls the storm, actually.
Yes, that was who it was inspired. I'm getting chills, girl. That's who it was inspired by.
Yes.
And the storms of my city and what I've been through in my city, the way that I see things, but then also understanding, like at the end of the poem, it says, some things are out of my control, but most times I'm rain dancing, so that just lets you know, like, I'm in control of the storm.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Again, goddess energy. So that's like,
yes.
And that takes courage to be able to tap into that, because like that's that authentic power, that authenticity, being self-aware and, navigating with intention.
Yeah.
So we are at the end of our interview. So do you have any last words that you want to share with other poets, other performers who are, starting off or moving along their journey? Anyone you want to shout out to, you can do that as well.
Well, shout out to my city, Duval. Shout out to my king, B-Rock. Love you. And then just Atlanta in general, and everybody who's come into my life and helped me with my growth process. I guess the only thing that I would probably leave is like, be true to who you are. Don't let the things that you've been through stop you from shining your light, because it's always inside of you. Like, we come into the world with it. Nothing can taint your heart or your light. So just be authentically yourself and don't worry about what other people think. Social media is it's just a tool, it's a tool, but we're real, we're here, we're doing this, and nobody out there is designed like you. It's only one you. So be you.
Be you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Mecca
Thanks
Foxx.
for having me.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, and we are so happy and grateful to be a part of your journey.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
so we enjoyed your story. And until next time, friends.